Hey everyone, Jared James here, and welcome to episode 85 of Today with Jared James. I am once again joined by, last time she broke into my house, and this time I broke into her office.
That's very much true.
Miss Linda Yacoub. Linda, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Okay, or
it's
as
nice
I call...
to have you here in my office in the town of Fresno.
I was going to say, everybody else knows you as Linda Yacoub. I know you as Baby Girl.
There we go.
Okay.
Very
Baby
much
Girl.
true.
What'd you start calling me today? You said that you what was it?
Oh, we were on vacation.
Boo-boo or
And no,
something?
we're on vacation, and we were getting ready for that volleyball tournament game.
I do remember this,
And
yeah.
we did introductions to our team, which was
Okay.
a Canadian team.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, this is Jared. I'm Linda. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, oh, this is my Bobo.
Bobo. Okay.
And I'm Boba.
Okay.
And that's what she just called her man. So I was like, oh,
You're like, I like that.
come on, Bobo. That's what I've been calling you.
All right.
Yours sounds a lot sweeter now that I say mine.
I don't know, like the man in me wants to be called Balboa.
Yeah.
You know, like Rocky.
Yeah. I'll just stick to cutie.
That did nothing.
I know.
Stick to
I
cutie?
mean, Bobo sounded really cute in the hall, and
Okay.
now that I say it,
Well, it's out there
Out
now.
loud,
Just so you know,
yeah,
it's out
yeah.
there now. Okay,
Bobo.
everybody heard it. So anyway, we are shooting. From your company's podcast studio, which
Yeah.
I'm interested once this all comes out how loud this is, because there's a lot of noise going on around us, guys. So if you hear some other stuff,
There's a ton of noise.
This is legit. There's
Yeah.
music going. Does anybody work here? I hear like Latin music.
I mean, okay, my company, like the culture of the company here is very fun and exciting. We bring a lot of culture in. Like if you look around the space, which no one could see besides us, a lot of color. It's just fun, you
Yeah.
know? And so you're going to have people up and down the halls. Like we're actually next door to the cafe.
That
so you
is
have
true.
coffee that's open to the public. It's not really open. It's not just open to employees.
Oh, that was to everybody?
It's literally open to the city, so anyone can come in and grab a cup of coffee. However, they have to pay for theirs. My employees get them at no cost, but it's a fun vibe. Yes, it's loud when trying to do a podcast.
We
so
found
we'll
out.
see how this works.
Why not, though? But I've made a
Yeah.
commitment here, as a lot of you have seen. I think I've released, 4 or 5 podcasts in the last couple of weeks. Doing another one now. I've got another one scheduled that I'm doing. And I made a commitment to our people at the beginning of the year that I was going to do a lot more podcasts. And, really just kind of finding my voice on it, because the podcast for me is... I'm always going to do business. I'm always going to do it just because it's part of who I am, right? Is the business, what's going on, what's happening. I mean, I obviously am a speaker, go all over the world, real estate coach, real estate trainer, that whole thing, entrepreneur. But I almost want this to be just a little bit different in that, you just kind of give people a little more insight. It's just conversational, right? And so that's why I love having you on, because you don't mind conversating, even though that's not a word. You don't mind just kind of cutting in and conversating, what's going on, what's this, and maybe call me out of my crap if I say something, since you kind of know me really well.
A lot of it too, although it's personal and table conversation, or I like to call coffee conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it even pertains to business.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm actually going through a lot of the stuff that you are very familiar with, and I'm not familiar with. And
Right.
I mean, now that we're kind of talking about that, like you're here in Fresno, you're here actually for work.
Isn't it weird to be this close and not to just be like, hey, like hold hands? It's weird, but go ahead.
Boo-boo.
Focus, Jared, focus.
No, but you came in for work, but what's also kind of fun though is we got to see each other here and kind of bring you along with me while I kind of figure out life right now. And
Well, I mean, I'm right now,
So-
as everybody knows, I'm a big part of your life right now. So
Yeah.
it's so I came in for an event. We did an event for a Century 21 company locally here, and that
which
was super
happened to
cool.
be a partner of ours as
Yep.
well. So it was something that we got to do together.
And you got to have your team there. You
Yes,
got to, which
which
was
is
really
very
cool,
nice.
because I'm sure they hear all the time, Jared, and they're just, they just, it's just your man, whatever. So it's cool to have them there and kind of experience an event and kind of see you in your element, so to say, and what you're doing. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then for me, I hung around. I've got more events this week. I'm actually, for anybody who's actually viewing this right now, we're doing it in a separate studio. This is not our new studio. This is Bitwise's studio. You run a company called Listing Alert, which is
Yeah.
under your parent company, Bitwise. And I'm actually, I'm in my plain clothes. And I don't mean plain clothes like they're vanilla. I mean like, get on a flight. I'm about to do that
Get
whole thing.
comfortable. We have a long.
I'm about to do the jump around, I woke up this morning and I don't really get depressed. It's not really in me to, and I know people do, and I know that it's for many people uncontrollable. That's not how I get. So when I say I woke up this morning depressed, what I really mean is just kind of like, had some great days with you. We've been going around. I've been getting to know Fresno, getting to know Clovis, and now I'm about to do the jump, the city type of thing. So I'm ready for it, but I guess we can kind of talk about this on here. I've got some other stuff I want to go over too, but I think this relates to a lot of people because you're in the situation that so many of our people find their clients in, where you are in a home and you're thinking, you're not sure if you want to sell that home or rent that home. You just know that you want to move because you want to get closer to the kids' school. And you're not sure, do I sell that home, rent that home? Do I buy the next home? Do I rent the next home? Do I go into it? Like, it's like, there's all these.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in the industry for 12 years, and you would think I would know.
Yeah.
I have people lined up, lenders lined up, everything in place. But let's be real. I'm not a licensed real estate agent. I've never listed or sold a home ever.
Yeah.
Which people don't get sometimes because I'm really well-rounded.
You ran an MLS. You worked as a VP of a major real estate company.
Yes.
It's like people just assume. It's like, well, then you sold real estate. It's like, no, that's not.
No, it's not. It's not.
Different job.
It's not like that. And I've only purchased one home. I've never even been in a position where I've sold a home. Yeah. So that's very new to me.
Meaning not as an agent. You mean I've never owned a home and sold it as a homeowner.
Absolutely. So I would, it's crazy because everything that I always preached or talked about, which is MLS or searching or like doing comps and looking at I'm experiencing it right now. And let's be real, I absolutely hate it. And you've seen it. We walked through model homes. We walked through some things. And the emotional side comes out of me. And it's like, it's overwhelming. Yeah. It's really overwhelming. And I've never been in that space. And so we were walking through a townhome, actually, very nice. And I did a quick little story of, here we go, and it wasn't like a smiling face.
Unbeknownst to me, I had no idea you did it. I saw.
You didn't
I'm like,
do
when
it.
did she do
this?
this?
And it wasn't a smiling face because the reality is, let's be real. Me as a buyer, trying to figure out if I want to sell or rent my house.
You're like nerve-wracked right now.
I am like at my cap right now, and I run a company. I have 2 little kids. We're trying to figure this out, and I'm like, this is not fun.
Yeah, it's the reality. You know what the crazy thing is too is that so. I said to you yesterday, I said, hey, we need to have a real conversation here because, you've got your mind made up of I'm doing this and then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to rent this, I'm going to sell this, I'm going to do whatever. And I'm like, baby, listen. That may not be the best option. Yeah. You're like, no, that's what I'm doing. I said, you're not dealing with all the facts. And you and I both are very logical people. And I think sometimes, especially someone in my position, I think that people just expect me to always say something that involves a real estate transaction. Yep. Yeah. Time to sell, time to buy, and a lot of times the facts don't equal that. Like I'm going to give you an example right now, but they don't always equal that. And that was kind of the point I was trying to make to you. I'm like, there's a lot of life situations that go in that this may not be the best time, and it's this is why I always tell like real estate people, like, being in sales is a great thing as long as you have the right motive. Sometimes you're telling people not now. It's not a good time, right? Yeah. What used to drive me crazy about real estate trainers when I was coming up and I was young and I would listen to these people was no matter what was going on in the market, it's is it a great time to buy? Absolutely. A great time to sell? Absolutely. Like at all times. That's not always true. It's like, this will be a little bit controversial for some of you listening, so just hear me out a little bit. But it's like when Grant Cardone or Gary Vaynerchuk got in trouble because they said buying a home is stupid. Like Grant Cardone comes out and he goes, buying a home for yourself is stupid. It's whatever. And everybody's up in arms. And I remember getting messages from people telling me that they wanted me to combat it. Like, put out a thing, do whatever.
Oh, I remember this.
It was a big thing. I remember He still says it to this day. And I got into some private conversations with people, and they're like, what an idiot. Can you believe that? And I went, whoa, just back up a second. He's not wrong. And I remember saying that to someone, and they're like, what? Like, you teach people to sell? What are you talking about, right? And I'm like, no. From his perspective, it doesn't make sense. Like, think about it. From the average person, the 99.999% of people on the planet, it absolutely makes sense. Like, it makes sense from the perspective of it's forced savings. It's where the majority of net, your wealth, your income is going to come from later on. Your net worth, I'm sorry. All of these things. There's no doubt that all of that is true. But if you don't just start with the answer in mind, meaning as soon as he said that, you go, idiot, no, that's wrong. If you don't do that and you are logical and you actually do one of our rules for 2023 from the past podcast, listen to understand, and you really do stop and go, oh, wait, why does he feel that way? And you take it from his perspective. Doesn't make sense for him. Like, he's looking at it, he's going, I'm gonna spend all of this money, I'm gonna use this capital to buy this asset, which is not a revenue creating asset. Now, the hope is over time it's going to increase in value. That's what happens for the average homeowner. And over that time, it creates net worth and it does those things. But in the meantime, you are going to spend more on interest than if you didn't. You are going to have to repair everything in that home at some point or another. There's a lot of costs that go into that. You are going to pay closing costs. That's more money right now that you're using as capital towards this asset. And so what his point is, or what Gary Vaynerchuk's point was, makes no sense for us to lock up that capital in an asset that's not generating income. We're only paying for it to keep it as it is, hope that it goes up. When I can take that same capital right now, put it into a different company, put it into a different asset, and have it multiple X much quicker. So like, he can put it into a tech company or put it into something and pull his money out in 5 years and make 300%. Not going to do that with a home. So from their perspective, it can make sense. It absolutely can make sense. For the average person, 99.999.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
They need to own a home. That's
Correct.
where their net worth is going to come from. That's where their forced savings account is going to come from. That's where, no doubt about it, okay? But again, it's nice to listen to these rules, but when you say listen to understand, you really have to not start with your answer in mind, okay? So I say that.
Which is exactly what I did.
So I say that.
I'm like, I am not doing that. You're like, no, hear me out.
If somebody could have been in the car with us. Because I said to you, I'm like, listen, and I start breaking it down for you. And let's just be real right now, guys. Like, I said to you, hey, going to sell, you could buy, you could rent, whatever, right? And like, you're all about, I want assets, I want, whatever. You also want to buy an investment property. You also want to buy another property you're moving into.
Okay, for those that haven't, first time tuning in or whatever, my situation coming out of a divorce where I was the breadwinner of the family and had to pay out, like, in my head, it's like, I just want to grow from here. Like,
yes.
I feel like I'm starting from the bottom again. And now I'm like, I want some kind of investment. I want to grow. I don't want to go backwards. Like,
so that's the interesting point. You keep calling it that. A part of me
is like, and it's all ego. It's in my head. It's like, ugh.
It's not backwards.
Like, I feel like I'm downgrading.
Yeah.
Is what I said.
Yeah.
I feel like renting is a loss, is a lose for me.
Yeah.
Like, those are the things in my head. And that's, as a buyer now and a homeowner and now a single mom, that's really what you're like, I'm coming out of this. As transparent as I could be.
No, you're like, I'm coming out of this better. I'm coming out, and that does not equal better. That's what everyone else sees.
I feel like downsizing is a loss and a win for them, or him. And I feel like and a lot of it is just having that, like, correcting my you're like, I'm a CEO of a company. Like, right? I am going to, so two things. Number one, I used to use this analogy, and I really should start using it again. It's funny the things you say and then you forget. You go back on your old notes and you're like, that was pretty good. Really
like,
good.
But one time I was driving on the highway, and I was on the slow lane, and I don't like to drive slow. I know a lot of you will probably find that hard to believe. But I'm driving in the slow lane, and I've got a car in front of me going very slow, and I've got a semi to my side going very slow. And basically, I'm boxed in.
Yeah.
And I am ready to just get me out of this lane. I need to move forward. Forward is where I go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it hit me, the only way that I can get to the fast lane right now is to slow down and let the semi pass. And once that semi passes, now I can cross two lanes, get in the fast lane, and cruise by both of them. But I can't do it by hitting the accelerator right now. And for a lot of you, that is advice that applies to so many different things. Sometimes to go forward, you have to do what looks like going back, but it's just strategy. And so I say this to you because you and I were talking in the car yesterday, and I just said, and you just kept jumping in and going, no, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to whatever. And like, you're very logical. So for me, that's very frustrating because I'm
very
like,
stubborn is what
yeah,
you're
very
saying.
stubborn as well. Like, you're also very logical though. And so for me, what was frustrating me was you're not igniting your logical side right now, which is not you. And so what did I say to you? I just said, because I know that you also, you love me and you're gonna listen. Like if I'm really like, hey, wait a second. Yeah. So I said, baby, listen. Don't answer. I don't need any answer from you.
Correct. Yeah.
All I want you to do right now is commit to letting me do the facts with you, because I don't think you're making a decision from a point of facts right now. And so I need you to let me lay them out, and then I need you to do what you do, which is process, right? And don't whatever. And so we started looking at it, and I didn't go all into it, but let's face it. So you're in a situation where you're like, hey, I want to hold on to my home most likely. You can either sell it or you can rent it, but you want assets. You want to look back and have a portfolio,
Correct.
Right? You also want to potentially buy an investment property. You're looking at Fort Worth, which is one of the top 10 markets they talk about for growth coming up. You also want to own you just want to start building assets because you feel like you should be, like you deserve to be. This is a position you put yourself in.
Yeah.
The work's got to be worth something, and I'm not going backwards. I'm not going to, okay. So I started looking at it, and I'm like, baby, listen. Here's what your payment is on your house. Here's what you can get on a rental. If you pay a property management company in between, you've got solar, you've got this, you've got whatever. Renting is probably an option, but it's renting your house currently to keep it is probably an option, but it's not going to be some big cash flow maker for you.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
If anything, it's a wash.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah.
But you could hold on to the asset if you decide that you want to do that, unless it makes sense to sell it and buy other assets and whatever. So that's a whole other separate topic. But I'm like, this was the main thing I was saying to you. Why are you dead set on buying your next place right now? Because the next place is temporary. It's not forever. It's to get closer to the kid's school. It's, whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
And you're like, no, I want to own. I said, well, wait a second. Why?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think you understand the numbers here of here's where rates are at right now, because rates are technically high. If you buy at this price, you're going to pay a 6 to 7% rate. Let's just say that it's $6 per thousand you finance. Add another 1 point on that for insurance and taxes and all that stuff. So let's call it 7 points per thousand that you finance, right? So by the time we're done with all of that, I won't get into it for the audience right now, but it's probably going to be higher than what it is that you're trying to get to. Also, on top of that, you are going to pay closing costs, right? To do that move, okay, which that's a significant thing. There's going to be costs to the agents. There's going to be like all this other money that's going to be involved.
Closing,
that is more
commissions,
immediate. It's more immediate. It's in what I would call capital. Like this is capital you could be using somewhere else, okay, for something that's completely temporary, that you could still own your asset locally here without buying that next one. Because to me, you buy that next one and now you're tied up. There's nothing you can do now.
Yeah.
You can't do. So I was saying, why not look at a rental, which not only doesn't tie you up financially, but doesn't tie you up from every other area either, meaning you decide you want to make a different decision a year from now, you decide you want to make a different decision 2 years from now, we decide you want to make a different whatever, you're completely flexible, you're completely mobile. But in the meantime, the capital you were going to use to put towards this next property, that you were going to buy, even though it's temporary, and we don't know what's happening not only with the rate situation, but also with the prices locally and all that other stuff. What if we now took that money and put it towards an investment in Fort Worth? Put it towards, so you're actually
Versus
building
just dumping it into buying a temporary space.
Correct. And now instead of buying that property you're going into, which is 1,000%, not only does it liquidate your capital, get rid of it completely, make you immobile, like you're committed there now because you can't immediately sell it because you'd be paying a commission when you go to sell. So you needed to increase a certain amount in order to
Correct,
get there.
yeah.
But on top of that, it's not revenue creating, it's not income creating for you, it's just where you're going to live. Whereas if you took that capital, put it into a place like Fort Worth or put it into one of these other places, not only is that an asset that is long-term? We know that we want to be there. We know we can now pick the market we want to be in. Whereas here, you're just here. We can pick a top 10 market and go, we know what's going to happen there.
And allow that property to create.
It's income creating.
Well. Yeah.
It's income creating.
You know what's interesting? While you're saying all of this, I actually, if you weren't a part of my life, very hypothetical. If you weren't.
We had to make
sure it's that. But like, I wonder if my realtor would sit down and literally tell me what is good for me.
Yes.
In my financial situation and my short-term, long-term goals like this, because obviously, let's be real. If you told me, hey, Linda, like you should rent.
Yeah.
And let's look at some options to rent.
Yeah.
They're pretty much saying that my paycheck is gonna cut in an eighth possibly.
Well, all they're going even if they tell you to go buy the investment somewhere else, they're only going to get a 25% referral.
I wonder if I would hope, a great genuine realtor would sit down and say, hey, it doesn't look good right now. Almost like a financial planner.
It doesn't make sense right now.
Doesn't make sense.
So I always say doing the right thing at the wrong time is the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So buying is correct. But it doesn't mean in your specific situation, and this is why we teach our students, and for everybody listening right now or watching or whatever, like lifetime value, guys. So when we talk about sales and I say, hey, you're not just a matchmaker, you're a salesperson, and being in sales is not a bad thing. That is actually, when you have the right motive, it's an amazing thing. This is an example of what I'm talking about. If I was in sales and I was actually helping you right now, right? And I was telling you,
don't list or sell right now at all.
I mean, of course, you know that. I mean, of course, you know
just
that.
letting everyone else.
That's humanly not possible. But if I was advising you, this is what I'd be telling you. And the reason why is because I wouldn't be a teenage boy trying to close on the first date, okay, if anybody gets that. I wouldn't be after the one-time sale, okay? I'd be after the marriage of the relationship, meaning I want the lifetime value of you. I don't want the one sale. I want you to remember that I told you don't buy right now. Like, and by the way, in almost all markets, if it was just a regular person, I'd be saying buy. Buy.
My situation
it's
is
your
very
situation.
Unique, specific.
I'm going, I would not buy.
I get that.
I would buy in another area, which is going to, knowing your capital situation, knowing your whatever, like knowing all that. But here's the difference now. Now, when you do eventually, I'm going to get the 25% on that referral, right? I'm going to get the when you do buy here, because you are going to.
Correct.
I'm going to get that eventually. I'm going to get every freaking referral in the world from you because you're going to be like, my agent was honest with me.
Correct.
And I've guaranteed myself that I'm going to get all those post-closing sales, that lifetime value from you, because you're going to remember that you had someone who actually cared and told you what to do that didn't benefit them in the short term. Whereas if I went for that one deal, I might get it, might never talk to you again. Who knows? Because when you get screwed on that deal, and all of a sudden you get in a situation and you want to sell in a year and you can't.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're going, are short sales still a thing? What do I do here? What do I? This is why when I say listen to understand, I'm not just talking about relationship or whatever. I'm talking about from a sales perspective too. Like, and you and I will have conversations offline. I mean, I haven't even gone into full detail here. And in the end, you're a grown woman, you do what you want to do. But like, I'm not convinced that it makes sense. And I certainly don't believe, and you and I talked about this yesterday, and there's some stuff we won't even share on the podcast here, that is going backwards. That is not going backwards. Yeah. Making decisions based on the fear of what other people feel, there's the addiction of it.
There's that mental block, going right? Backwards. That you have to kind of get over. And it really is something that I have put in my own head.
That's exactly right.
Which is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Like to pivot or go around. Hurdle over. But there's a ton. I mean, it could be as simple as, so I did that social story and of me like saying, okay, around. Here we go.
Yeah.
Time to look at stuff. And the first person that reaches out to me.
Who you had no intention of reaching out to.
And I never had. Yep. Yeah. Was my past lender.
Yeah.
Amazing guy.
Yeah.
He didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
And he helped me with my first purchase.
Almost 10 years ago.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, let me know what I could do for you. To make it easier.
And now you and I are having a meeting with him.
We are having a meeting
tomorrow
with him.
Or whenever. It doesn't matter. Whenever. Sometime this week. Yeah.
But so there's that. And I'm like, wait a minute. And the conversation went from, oh, this is my lender. He was at X Bank. At the time, it was Wells Fargo. Wait a minute.
Which got out of the mortgage business. Yeah.
They're not. I'm like, what? Where is he now? And then you reach out to your lender.
Yep. No longer doing loans.
And I'm like, man, what am I doing? Maybe I shouldn't. Like, then like your head kind of pivots, and it's like, wait a minute. But I mean, yes, we are meeting with my lender tomorrow, but it's very unique how things are like that. Just kind of.
The moral of that story is, almost 10 years later, all he did was pay attention and reply to a story, one of your stories.
Yes.
So for all of you out there that are like, oh, I don't do social, it's so stupid. I don't need to know John had chicken for dinner. Whatever. Like, listen, guys, it's all business is all business is all business. It hasn't changed, right? So like strategy changes, but like there's principles that do not change, right? And when we tell our people visibility trumps ability, it's not just creating content on a regular basis, whatever. It's understanding on these platforms that you have an ability to stay in touch with people in such non-intrusive ways by getting involved in their life at the right time if you'll just pay attention.
Totally.
Where you go on Facebook, you can create lists of people who are your past people. And then you literally go and click on that list once a day, view their stories, view their updates, view their...
You know what's interesting? So I haven't, my lender's name is Caleb. I have not talked to him, like I said, in years, 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And in order for him to have seen my story, and a part of that algorithm of stories, he would have stayed connected unintentionally too.
Yeah.
Like I would never have known that he was looking through my stuff in order
you
for
didn't
him
know he was
to
cyber
respond.
stalking?
Yeah, for him to respond in a matter of
a
couple minutes.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this here, and you mentioned this everywhere on the road, but like there's never such thing as a past client.
No, yeah,
and
no such thing.
But also when it's not intentional, like for meaning that he's not touching me in ways that I know on social. So he is following me on social and just being in the know, I guess, on things.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's allowed him to connect and like be on top of mind right now.
That's it, and that's the big thing, guys. So yeah, you've got lists on Facebook, you can create, you got favorites on Instagram, you can create, like, it's just staying in touch, guys. It's not anything crazy. And you made an important point. Like I've talked about this, I should talk about it everywhere I go, but I forget all the time. But like maybe I should start doing notes, but I just get up and talk. But there's no such thing as a past client. There is no such thing. You need to end that term. It's not real. There are only two types of clients, guys. There are active clients and prospective clients. And active clients are anybody who's actively buying or selling from you, or anyone who's actively prospecting on your behalf for someone who's going to, based on your ability to stay in communication with them. They're all active. The only others are prospective. You're not a client yet. But the idea that we go to a closing and someone becomes a past client, that they enter free agency, that's just stupidity. That is, what are you doing here? That we've been taught wrong, okay? So that was a really cool example of that. Obviously he could have done a better job staying in touch up until now, but it still makes a point that he's following there and he reaches out at the right time on something that you had no, I mean, honestly, I don't know how more people aren't reaching out when you're saying home buying and you're doing a twirl in a home or whatever. But anyway, the point is made, guys. It's this is what I mean, really, it's we're going through, because I'm such a part of everything going on with you and everything else.
But I'm finally like in this position of experiencing what a buyer seller might be, like the emotions of stuff.
Yeah, and it's cool for me to hear that. I see that too.
No.
Third most stressful time in life.
I don't like it.
Death, divorce, and moving. You know.
So
you got 2 out of the 3 going.
I don't want a third.
Luckily, you have such a. I'm not even sure how
what do you want to say?
Oh, I was about to give myself like I try to help, but like it.
Compliment.
It didn't come out well. I was gonna say silky smooth, but even that I screwed up. So
no, so I mean, it's been kind of wild. Like it's been fun getting together, catching up, hanging out with friends, getting you introduced to this Fresno.
Oh, you kept trying to go somewhere else while we were here, and I'm like, no. I'm like, I travel all the time. I don't want to travel. I don't want to go stay up in Northern California.
Okay, if anyone knows California and knows like Pebble Beach, Carmel, Monterey, like
gorgeous.
He said,
gorgeous.
To your audience, he said no to Pebble Beach, Carmel, and Monterey. He's like, no thanks, I'll stay in Fresno.
Baby, the most gorgeous view in the world was right in front of me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. I had no interest in. I didn't want to stay in another hotel. I didn't want to go whatever. I wanted to get to know your area.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm here more often. Obviously, like I've got a situation where. It seems weird even saying I have 50% custody of my kids, because the truth is, yeah, they have 50% in the sense they stay with me 50%, but I'm with them all the time. I take them to school, I pick them up, we're doing stuff.
You do see them quite a bit,
myself and my ex are, we're in a good relationship. Like, we're friendly, we do stuff together, we do, whatever. So it's not really like that. But because of my travel schedule, it becomes difficult because I've got to manage all those things and then us to have time and whatever. But I'm trying to be here more as much as possible to try to get this area and have it feel homey and so I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to, but I loved it. Come on, I met friends.
We
found a spot.
It was great.
We got sushi. We were hanging out with just the staff after everybody left. We were just the cool people.
It was great.
Come on, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah, that's what we did. So that was fun. So I think some of you will relate to that.
Yeah. So we'll keep everyone updated on how that goes.
We will have to keep doing these because I do think it's interesting.
Yeah, I literally, I said, hey, it's going to be most likely your last time probably seeing the house.
No.
Here you go.
I'll get back over here.
But I have no idea. The spring market's coming up. I'm excited. I mean, then again, I pull up NAR today and I'm like, what? Numbers dropped? What's going on? What were we looking at, NAR? 1.5%?
See, that's what's so funny about that. So if December to December, sales decline of 1.5%.
Is that what it said?
Yeah, and by the way, the thing I had saved earlier was 1.5. I don't know why I said 1.7.
Oh, okay.
But that is what's so crazy to me. You guys can't see it. You can't see her face. But the fact that you just saw that and went, 1.5%.
Remember, I've been in the industry, but in tech.
Yeah.
So I look at this, and it's just the headline. I mean, I didn't even open it up and read it just yet.
Yeah.
But
look at your reaction.
Immediate reaction.
Look at your reaction.
Like,
You went like this. And guys, this is the coach in me. Okay, this is the coach in me. I think we all can agree with all the hysteria that's come out the last 6 months that we would have expected a lot more than 1.5%. So here's what I hear when I do that. I hear last year was the greatest market in the history of the world, okay? All the hysteria that's gone on about, oh my God, everything's collapsing and it's shifting. It's, we got tired of saying the word COVID and monkeypox, and now we're saying shifting market, shifting market. And it went down 1.5%. That sounds like the second greatest market in the history of the world.
Well, you mentioned commission payouts were what?
That's insane. You mean in the last 12 months?
Yeah.
Over $100 billion.
Isn't that insane?
Think about this, guys. What's I want you to think about that for a second. 1.5%. What that means, so that everybody here can get a real grasp on what we're saying here, okay? That means that if you did 30 transactions last year, that does not equal 1/2 of a transaction. That's what that means.
Yeah.
So when you start to put it in those terms, people start to go, oh, God, okay, this is where the bottom falls out. This is where the people who don't really do much, who sell houses to their grandmother on the side, whatever. When you really, I've said this so many times, and this I have been trying to say on the road. Like, I sold in 2008, okay? My head wants to go, you're so 2000 and late. I sold, okay, in 2008, okay? My greatest year ever. That was when everything was falling apart. Market was going down 4.7%. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? 4.7%. Number of agents went down 10%, which means mine went up. My market went up 5.3% as far as how I looked at it. But I sold during that time. And, I think I said this on the last, I can't remember if I said this before, but it's just true. Like, these things have to become more than just phrases. Like, there's no such thing as a good market or a bad market. There's just the market you're in and what you do with it, period. That's it. And you can't just look at one data point. You can't just look at market decline. How much is it? Every market's different, by the way. The market declined in 3 out of the 4 U.S. markets. The different, what do you call them? North, south, east, west, whatever. Yeah. 3 out of the 4. The other one didn't, right? That's one data point. How many realtors didn't renew their license? How much did the numbers for the number of agents drop? Because I'll guarantee you it's more than 1.5%.
There's
but nobody looks at that because it doesn't scare everyone. What's that?
No one ever takes all that into consideration.
Because it doesn't
And
scare everyone.
About this. You talked about how right now we're in a pro market. So we're going to expect those shifts in memberships, right? And associations and part-time agents.
That's it.
Possibly like weeding out. But yeah, you're right.
Think about who's hearing. Guys, think about who's hearing this for a second. First off, we are talking about professionals. Now, not everybody who listens to me is in real estate. We have entrepreneurs, we have whatever. But let's just clear the deck here and say there's a lot of real estate people. Okay?
Absolutely.
So there's one level, which is realtors, people who get into first off, there's a level just agents, people who just get into the industry and aren't even realtors.
Correct.
Then there's another level, which are realtors, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are different levels of commitment. You are talking about people who not only are in real estate, they listen to me, which means they've committed to their industry. They've committed to learning. They've committed.
More, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're watching. They're following guys like me on Instagram. They're following, whatever. Like, this is a different level of agent.
Absolutely.
These are not the agents that are dropping off. And so for all of you listening right now that are a part of that group, you need to celebrate the drop-off of agents. Mm-hmm. You need to celebrate the number of people who get into real estate because they watch some reality show and now they're going to go be a millionaire, whatever. Everyone, it's like when I do an event live and I'll talk about different stats and different whatever, and I'm like, guys, anybody know someone who should be here but isn't?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, yeah. I'm like, you're here, which means you're already ahead of everyone else.
You showed up.
You don't need to be scared. You are, if there was a tsunami, you're not sitting on the beach.
Yeah.
You're elevated. See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You hear about the nonsense, but you're elevated. You're not a part of that. So whenever you hear all this scary crap and, whatever else, remember that it's a megaphone for everyone, but it doesn't apply equally to everyone.
Correct, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You have to take it, listen to understand, like you got to take it with a grain of salt. You got to understand what's happening. You got to understand data.
There's always data behind the data, behind the data, behind the data.
What do we say all the time? Stats are for average people. Stats, you got to know your stats. Stats are for average people. You're smart enough to listen to a podcast to help you. You're smart enough to follow a person. Like, you're smart enough to educate yourself. You're smart. Come on, you're ahead of that, is what I'm trying to say. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm really good with timelines, but I can't put my finger on it. You sold in 2008.
Oh, we're just going right into this now.
Sorry, I'm going back into 08.
Okay.
When did you? Oh, I mean, maybe there's like a series of questions here.
Let's go. Bring it,
girl.
When
did you first decide that you kind of want to pivot? And I've always been in the space of MLS and tech, and so I've never been licensed. And I've always asked agents, what do you love about being a realtor?
Okay.
Everyone says, I love passing the key to a homeowner, helping them find their first home. I love being a part of, they love that whole experience. So in 2008, you sold. When did you start thinking, not necessarily acting, thinking on, hey, I might want to make a pivot?
Okay, so I'm going to answer both of those questions. Number one, that I'm not fantastic with timelines.
I know you're not.
Like especially right now with our relationship, everybody around us wants to know
when
was
this?
When did you guys talk?
Time,
and when did you guys meet? And whatever. And I'm not good with all the timelines, and it's just not how my head works. Okay, so I know it was shortly after that. Okay. After 2008, I was like, that's when I started. I was winning awards, and I was
How long were you in the industry?
Well, I mean, technically, I was my mother's unpaid assistant for many years.
True.
Okay, so I was in the industry since I was, very young. Okay, but as far as how long was I selling?
Selling.
Okay, so again, this is where I'm really bad with this stuff. I really am, because I feel like I'm going to answer this, and then if we go back and fact check
someone's going to Google you up, pull you up,
it's going to be like,
nope.
I could be wrong. I think I was only selling for, I want to say 5, 6, 7 years in that. Okay. I really, after a slow start where I was trying to still work my other job, when I went full time, I took off because I was all in. And so it was around that time, to answer your second question, why did I do it? Did you just love handing the keys over? None of that applies to me. None. Like, whenever I hear people say that, that's like when someone tells me that.
So what did you enjoy about it?
They're like, what do you do this for? They're like, my children.
No,
we all know we do it for the children.
I know it sounds very cliche, but that's what everyone would say.
Yes.
Like, I love passing the keys.
No, it was deeper than that. It was
and-
deeper than that. Of course, I like passing over keys. That's awesome. You know, who doesn't love that? That's awesome. That's not why. It's not, you know, I grew up in the industry, so I was familiar with it. I loved real estate, but really it was more about the emotion behind it than it was the actual act. Meaning, real estate to me, when you start to look at, hey, salespeople make all the money. Salespeople, okay, so do I want to sell pencils or do I want to sell houses? Because one of them is going to come with a bigger payoff.
Yeah.
So I looked at it as real estate was the best option. It was an industry I knew, I'd grown up in. I saw my mother do it. Real estate was the quickest and easiest solution to bet on myself. Meaning, no matter what I did, I never looked at myself as a realtor or a salesperson, guys. I still don't look at myself as a coach and a speaker.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. So real estate was the easiest avenue for me to immediately get in the game and flex my entrepreneurial muscles. And it had nothing to do with how much this person had done previously, how long they had been in the industry. None of it mattered. When I got in, it's like getting in this is why I love like the whole MMA thing is to me so similar to entrepreneurship, because every MMA fighter, almost all, loses at some point. It's not like, you know, something else where you just always win, you can't be beaten, you can't, you know, whatever. They get the crap beaten out of them. Even when they win, they get the crap beaten out of them. It's like you see their face after, you're like, you're the winner? You know? Like, jeez. Well, that's what entrepreneurship's like, right? Oh. Like, you don't always win, you don't always, you know, whatever. And so for me, it was the quickest, easiest avenue that regardless of anything that was going around, regardless of how long someone had been in the business, regardless of whatever, I could get in and flex my entrepreneurial muscles.
Yeah.
And it allowed so many offshoots. So like my pet peeve with people in real estate is that they get into real estate because they're entrepreneurial and they want to create their own stuff and they want to have freedom of schedule and they want to have all this stuff. And all they do is little by little build walls around themselves and create another job. And at the end of the day, you know, if you really look at, you know, if your whole career, if your whole real estate, like your only source of income is commissions, you're a highly paid Las Vegas stripper. You got to do the job to get the, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to close to get that commission. Like that's it, right? And so for me, what I loved about it was I loved all the other things I could do. I loved that I could get into the investment side of the business. And I just loved all the potential. And at the end of the day, I loved that it was on me. Like every great entrepreneur would rather fail, but have it be on them than succeed at 1% to 2% per year, but there's no inconsistency of outcome.
Talk about a motivator. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's no inconsistency of outcome. Like it's just, this is what it's going to be no matter what. This is what's going to happen, right? And then that's why most people who even get into real estate and it's just about commissions, once they hit a certain point in their career, it's why they burn out, because they hit 40, 50 transactions a year. It's what they're going to do every year. They don't try to do anything else. They can't get out of it. They'll never make the same money anywhere. They never, you know, and it's just, well, so now I'm burnt out.
Okay, did you ever have a burnout at one point?
Have I ever had a burnout? That's a good question.
I mean, okay, so the thought of getting out of real estate wasn't because of a burnout.
Oh, no. Okay, I have never had a burnout. I've been challenged.
Correct. Yeah.
I've had moments where I'm like, I gotta.
Like questioned, or just,
I'm not excited about this right now. I gotta figure something out. I gotta change something. I gotta add something. I gotta, you know, whatever. Never burnt out. My engine works in a certain way where if I started to feel burnt out, I'd figure it out. I started to feel a little burnt out actually. It's why, like on the road, I talk about it a little bit.
Well, you talk about busy, right? Being busy.
Yeah.
But in the right way.
Yeah, well, I talk about, you know, busyness, business, B-U-S-Y, B-U-S-I. They're two different things. And, you know, I mean, I've said that, like I say this at a lot of events I'm doing right now, like, you know, it's like the main thing most of us need is certainty, but also at the same time, we have too much certainty, it's no good.
Yeah.
It also is a bad thing.
Correct.
And for me, no, I never got to the point of burnout because once I started feeling it, I started figuring it out, which is, you know, it's so funny because when you look at the things that I talk about on the road and at events and on social and whatever, this is what I really mean about it. Like, they all come from my experience in my head and being able to communicate that. They're not reading a book and doing whatever. Like, they're all my experiential, got it, feeling it, figuring it out, and then talking about it.
So is a lot of your real estate, like, staying in the real estate years?
Yeah.
Was it like figuring it out on your own, like what worked for you
Oh,
and
God,
your service,
yeah.
or did you also invest time, like a lot of your listeners and students do, in coaching?
Oh, God,
and,
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, why I
other
started a coaching
resources?
company, because this is so bad I'm not putting them down, but they were so lacking. So
In what way?
coaching
Like
is not 100 years old in the real estate space.
meaning like keeping up with technology, keeping up
Well,
with
all the coaches that came before me deny technology. They deny social exists. They deny technology.
Okay.
And they were such a one-trick pony. And again, guys, I'm not taking shots at anybody because they were the godfathers of our industry for
So
doing
meaning
this.
like it works. So
Nothing
stick
but
to
referrals.
it.
Nothing but prospecting.
Oh,
Nothing.
yeah.
It's all it was. And they were married to their opinion, meaning like when something happened, 1 year and they were saying, this is the strategy, this is what you do, this is what whatever. When the winds of change came through and they needed to change how that strategy worked, they looked at it as if they were saying no to what they said 2 years ago. Instead of being honest with the audience right from the front, like I do, and I say, hey guys, I'm not married to this tactic. We say marry the principle, date the model.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? So principle, get in front of someone at the time they need you before a competitor does, that always stays the same. But the
Yeah.
model, the strategy, I'm not married to this. I may be teaching social strategy. I may be teaching a way of saying something now. I may be teaching whatever. 2 years from now, I'm going to go, nope, switched. We're not doing that anymore. Because all I'm married to is people getting something and doing what works in that moment, not what I said 2 years ago. So when I got in, yeah, I did all that stuff, and I got the coaching, and I did the training, and I respect those people, and the whole thing. But when I really started to grow, many of the tactics I use today came from that time frame. I used to check this out. So when I talk about visibility trumps ability, you got to have at bats.
Yeah.
Your job is to get people to know you, KNOW, so they have a chance to know you, NO. Okay. When I talk about that. The newspaper was a thing when I was selling. It was a big thing. So you would have to, marketing is a principle, right? How you market is a strategy, a model.
Okay.
Get it?
Yeah.
Okay. So great marketing, I always say, doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones. So what I would do is the open house and, whatever, we would put in ads in the paper, and it was very popular. Like that was where people went. That was Realtor.com. That was Zillow.
Your
that
black
was
and white ads.
That was it. I'm telling you, that's
Yeah.
where everybody went.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. You go into the supermarket, and you got your little,
mean,
God, he's got a half page. He
You
must
still
be
see
rich.
it every now and then.
Yeah. So I didn't have any listings. So here's the deal. When you guys see me training on strategy now with the buyer neighborhood letter, when the new listing prospecting and the whatever, and I'm saying you don't even need to have listings. You can leverage someone else's listing. Like, you're not saying it's your listing.
Yeah.
But everyone around that listing is fair game. Understand where that came from. When I started, I didn't have listings to put in the newspaper. I didn't have, so what do, right? Well, I can go do open houses, which I did. But I said, man, everybody's coming off of these. Everybody's calling. So what did I do? I took out a thing in the newspaper, and I said, 2-bedroom, up to 2-bedroom, 2-bath condos, up to $150,000. A little write-up.
Okay.
Never once mentioned a specific condo. Never once mentioned a specific nothing. I just would use up to 3-bedroom, 1.5-bath, Cape Cod style in blank. There was hundreds of those in our area.
Oh.
Communication 101. It's not what you say that matters. It only matters what people hear.
So you weren't property specific.
Nope. I just said I have availability to these types of properties.
Oh.
I would get hundreds of phone calls from people.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
calling about the 3-bedroom house in West Haven. Well, which one? What are you looking for?
Yeah.
What are your specifics? I need a minimum bath and a half. I want to be in the West Shore area. I want to be up to 200,000. I want to be. I've got about 37 options here. I can send you what those options are. We can decide which ones you want to go see. We can. Not one of them was mine.
Okay, everyone listening, watching, get on your Instagram stories and start this. Oh my gosh.
I love the look on your face. You're
on
actually
top of
surprised
that,
right now.
Let's be real. Instagram, there's like no cost to do that. You at least had to invest in some kind of dollar.
So this is why every
interesting.
This is why a lot of events I go to, I'll look at the audience when I see them like all like Google-eyed and
It's
they're
like
like,
an aha
I'm gonna do
moment.
this, I'm gonna do this, and I'm thinking, no, you won't. And then I tell the audience, if I was in your area, I would dominate you.
Yeah.
And it's because I I don't just think about stuff. I do it. I'll try it. I don't care about screwing up, right? It's all above board. None of it was ethical, whatever. I didn't say I was listing someone else. I didn't say someone else's listing was mine. I didn't, any of that. But the point I was trying to make for the audience right now is that mentality, like that idea of how do I become an option? Because like most entrepreneurs, I always felt like, give me a chance and I'll win. You got to get me in front of people. If you get me in front, I'll win. And most people feel that way, but then they sit back and they never get a chance. And the truth is, they don't really believe it, because if you really believed it, you'd do everything in your power to get a chance. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you're going, hey, let me protect my psyche and tell myself that if I got there, I'd win. But I don't have a listing, so I'm not getting there. So that's why they're all winning. That's why they're all getting it. Because I don't have the listing. I haven't been doing this 22 years. I don't have a book of business. And we protect our psyche by telling ourselves that. And here's the punchline. We actually really don't believe it. Because if we did, we sure as hell would do everything we could to get in front of them, right? So that's all I did. And so you take that principle and you look at so many of the things we teach our students today, which are about to be so relevant in the market we're going into. It came from then.
So was that like a motivator to get you to want to switch gears and leave real estate and be like, wait, let me coach, train?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Like I'm super curious. Like at what point did you say, okay, like you're over here winning awards?
Yeah.
But you decided, you know what, I don't want awards.
So here's a crazy thing. I respect entrepreneurs. I respect people who give it a shot. Do you know how I respect even more? People who succeed and then stop and give another thing a shot. Mm-hmm. I don't think people understand how scary that is. Like, I've never really talked about that, but like we always respect entrepreneurs. We respect people who give it a chance, give it a try. And we're like, good for them. Look at that. They bet on themselves. I was successful after betting on myself and then said, halt, here we go. Let's go another direction. I'm respected over here. I've got this gig built up. I'm always going to be good at this. I'm always going to make money at this. They're asking me to come do an event. They're whatever. Hey, let's stop again, right? That was a scary time because I went from doing extremely well to, for a couple of years, I don't have income. I made the switch because I started doing events.
So you stopped cold turkey?
I had to, because I was starting to get asked to go do events locally, and they went really well. And then people were like, "You need to, do you have a coaching?" You do think people get mad when you sell from the stage? They get mad when you have nothing to sell. And I started looking at ultimate purpose, and this isn't for everyone, right? But for me, when I started looking at those opportunities, I'm like, I can have way more of an impact if I'm doing what I'm doing now, right? Like, look at how many people I affect now.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, you're going to bet on yourself again? And it's that whole thing. It's like, there's those sayings like, like God doesn't show you around the corner. It's like, you're in the right direction, but you can't see around the corner. And there's a little bit of that faith to just kind of trust. And, that way you can't just give it all to your own abilities. You still, no matter how good you are, no matter how talented you are, you still have to trust something other than yourself, that this is going to work.
Correct, yeah.
And so I did that. And when I did that, it was based on purpose. It was based on what I felt I was supposed to be doing. It was based on, I knew that it would lead to other things. I didn't know what, but I knew it would put me in a position to do the other things I knew I was supposed to do with my life. But it was freaky because when I did it, there were several times I was going to quit because I went from having great income, respected, whatever, to nothing. I had no brand. I had no students. I had no income. I had no speaking fees. I had no know-how. I had to figure it out. I didn't even know that was a world. I didn't even know that coaching, training, speak. I didn't even know that was a world.
Okay, so we jumped over it a little bit, but what was your why?
In what regard? Because that means a lot of different things.
What was your why to leave listing and selling?
Yeah.
And go into this world of
It was purpose. I wanted to do what I was put on this planet to do. I believe that my calling on this earth is I help more people get closer to theirs. That's what I do. When you really look at what I do, that's what I do. And it was, I make this joke all the time, but it's just the truth. People ask me what I'm afraid of, and I say I'm not afraid of a lot of things. And then I go, well, I said my greatest fear is leaving this planet to a standing ovation to all of you, and then getting before God and having him say, what the hell? You know what I mean? So for me, being in a place of comfort for the rest of my life, knowing that I had so much more, was more scary to me.
So staying complacent.
Like sometimes the worst thing that can happen to you is a level of success higher than anyone else around you, but still not at the level that you were supposed to be at. You know what I'm saying?
I get that, yeah.
So to everyone else, they're like, look at this guy, he's killing it. He's amazing. He's, whatever. And they were judging me according to their mentality and their levels of whatever. And that's not how things are judged.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a different thing. And so, yeah, that was a scary time. And over again, I just had to convince myself, I don't know how I'm going to figure this out, but I'm betting on myself to figure it out. I'm betting on my abilities. I'm betting on and I will. And I remember literally thinking, if we could just get to 50 students.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we can get to 50 students, I'll make a living, because, I'm out there like personally coaching people because I just need to make a living. And that's when I learned what happens to very talented, well-intended speakers and coaches that have a great message. They start personally coaching people because of their great message and their ability to deliver it. But then the very people who are feeding off of them and need them and want them to deliver more are the very reason they can't. Because now all of their time is spent personally coaching individuals, traveling to whatever. They never create new content. They never, and so I'm like, wait a second, I'm going to come out here and start telling everybody how to build a business, and I can't even leverage myself? Well, that's a problem, And anyone with any smarts looks at that and goes, so you're going to teach us how to build a team, but it's going to be you that's doing it, and you don't even have a team? Well, wait a second now, And so that was all part of that, just me figuring it out, just like I do every day, right? Just every day. What's next? What am I figuring out? What am I doing? Like, there's a lot that goes on up here, at all times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how long have you been coaching now, Mr. I'm not good with timelines?
I'm not good with timelines, but it's been 10 plus years.
Wow.
I didn't have any grays. I don't have a ton, but, I didn't have any grays.
I tell him all the time, men pay for like this peppered looking hair. He doesn't believe it, but I mean, it's a thing.
All I hear when you say that is you saying that you think I look good. And so I'm good with that. Yeah. That's all I heard.
No, that's exciting though. I didn't really know details. Like, I knew some like things, but I didn't know like details.
I remember, look, on some level, we're all still nobodies. You know what I mean? There's always a bigger somebody, right? But I remember being a nobody. I mean, I remember going to events and just, oh my God. An event that I keynote every year now. I remember doing a breakout there, and there was 3 people in the room, and 2 got up after my intro.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, rough.
Hi, I'm Jared James. Okay, bye-bye.
By the way, it's funny you said that. It's so funny you said that. This is when I knew the winds were changing. I started going to events, and people started calling me by both names.
Oh.
And I was like, what? I'm like standing right here. They're like, are you Jared James? Are you whatever? And I was like, what? Like, it threw me off. That was the sign that I knew, things are starting to, when they start using both names, think about it. When you think of like a celebrity or you think about it, whatever, you look over and you're like, that's Brad Pitt. You don't go, there's Brad.
That makes sense.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because in your mind, they're different.
So when you heard Jared James,
I
you're
knew
like,
it.
well, I made
I
it.
knew
and then
it.
And then when you start getting these fake Instagram accounts, then you're like, I
There's
really
no Instagram
made
back
it.
there.
I really made it. I know now.
It's more fake Tinder.
Yeah. But now you're like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
just kidding.
Well, you're in my, this happens a
great.
lot. But yeah. That was the push I needed at that moment. That was almost like God leaving little breadcrumbs and being like, you're on the right track.
Just follow.
You're on the right track.
Follow, yeah.
Right? It was all for me, just like, oh my God, what? It's working. It's working. Right?
And it's crazy because now you're in a period in your life where you're like, you're not going to make yourself available to everything. You're saying a lot more no's.
God, are you kidding me?
Than you are like picking up every single gig possible.
I say no to everything. Well, there is a story that we didn't talk about. Do you have a minute for me to talk about this, or you got to go?
Yes. No.
Okay, this is a big one right here, guys.
We have time.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you missing that call?
We have time.
Okay,
Let's go.
So here's one you guys should hear. People are like, how'd you build your speaking business, right? So I'm in a place right now where we turn down almost everything that comes in. Can't handle it. Mm-hmm. We don't prospect. We don't, whatever. Do whatever you got to do. You got to send a text. You
I'm going to text real quick.
No, pick up your phone and do the text. But we do this.
Okay.
We do this informal. I'll just keep talking. But when you hear me talk about, the things I said before, your job is to get people to know you, KNOW, so they have a chance to know you, NO. We're talking about prospecting. We're talking visibility trumps ability. We're talking about I'm in front of them. I'm an option. We're talking about rejection. Rejection is the goal. You can't lose when rejection is the goal. That's how I built my speaking business. I didn't know there was a such thing as the speaking side. I didn't even know. Nobody in second grade career day when Johnny wanted to be an astronaut, I said, I'm going to go get paid. I was the kid that my mother and everybody else would just be like, would you shut up? I could go invoice those people now. Okay? Like, hey, you owe me a lot of money if we're going to talk, right? And like, I say that like a humble brag, but it's like a joke, but you got to understand, guys, where I come from. Like, that is what I was told my whole, just shut up, just, whatever. Just, because I don't talk a lot in normal life, but when I'm comfortable, I do. Right? With people I'm comfortable with, right? Yeah. Like with you and me when we're together, like just the two of us, I don't shut up. I'm joking around. I'm doing stuff. I'm, whatever.
The day just flies by.
Yeah. So my point was how the business was built was literally figuring it out. I said, well, I don't even know what people get paid. I don't have there's a speaker agreement. I don't even know what that is. Mm-hmm. I don't know how this all works. So I went online. And I started, and online was like kind of young, but I started looking at, I looked at every brand, every association and board, every region, everything across the US and Canada that did events. I would find places that would list events. And then I'd just go individually and I'd look on their calendar. When do they have events? Do they pay people? I don't know. Then I started reaching out, calling. And I found out after many, many rejections, okay, here's who handles the events. Communication directors, you've got your marketing directors. Every once in a while they'll have an events person, but not very often, okay? It's always young girls straight out of college. They don't know who's who in the industry. They know whatever you tell them, right? So I'm like, what do I need? I need a site. After so many calls, someone finally was like, oh, I don't know, we're making a decision in November. Send us your speaker's kit with some info. Mm-hmm. No problem. Where do I send that to? I hang up the phone. Google. What is a speaker's kit and what is supposed to be on it? Like, no idea. Yeah. Go and create it myself. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's just, guys, I can't even, And so now I'm sending it out. And now after I've made 200 calls, 3 people are send me your stuff. When are you making a decision by? Okay, great. And I'm following up and I'm doing whatever. And I'm just next, like whatever. Just numbers, right? Yeah. You get 2 to say, at first you're going for free. Then you start to learn the business and you're like, a breakout makes between this and this. If you're going to be respectable, that's what you make. And, get a few to say yes. And they start booking you back again. They start talking to others because you're doing a good job. And, all these other places that said no. And, and then after your career hits a certain point, I'm skipping a lot of details here, guys, but I did a lot of those calls and emails and, follow-ups for years. And then I'm like, well, what does a keynote do? What does a keynote have to make to be respectable? What do they generally have a budget for? What is and I'm just
such a different world.
But it's just rejection and contact, and it's the same thing that an agent needs to be doing on a regular basis. I had divorced myself from feeling rejected. I didn't care about being rejected, okay?
Yeah.
And then little by little, then I learned more about the business. And I'm like, okay, so keynote's what I want to be because that's the main person. But I also really get much more of a result on an event when I can do a breakout, roll up my sleeves, and really get into details. So now I want keynote and breakout, And it's just you start learning and morphing. And over many years, obviously, you got to do a good job on stage. But I've made a commitment to... My brain works like a stand-up comedian, like content-wise, like the way I see things and whatever. So I take a lot of notes, a lot of content, and I've just kind of over the years, now we've gotten to a point where, like I said, it's we say no to almost everything, and now we have other countries constantly calling and it's just like, my goal is not to be on the road all the time. I do it. It's part of what I do. It feeds everything else that we do. But that's a part of the story that a lot of people don't know is that, I got into the speaking world by just getting the crap rejected.
You're definitely someone that practices what you preach.
Yeah, but my point is all the stuff we teach, I practiced.
Till this day, there's a lot of things that you do, so it's good too.
Now my world's about leverage, right? Mm-hmm. So like in the beginning, it was about getting rejected and about whatever, and now we're building out. We're one of the largest coaching and training companies. I say North America, it's really the world. but it's because the world doesn't really do coaching and training in real estate. So it seems weird to say that, but now it's all about leverage, right? It's about creating leverage and spending my time in the places where I should be there. But then leveraging my team to be signing up brokerages for, brokerage right accounts and, signing people up for one-on-one coaching, getting them into our transaction coordination company, Cleared and Closed, getting them into our marketing, stuff with Georgia Media and have us doing their marketing, but allowing other people. I'm the figurehead and I do that. So I'm hustling, but in a different way. But now it's about leverage, and it's about not only leverage from the perspective of building the business, but leverage from the perspective of feeding myself in the other areas of my life so that I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
So the reason why you and I spend so much time together, and I'm not just on the phone the whole time and everything, is because I need that to feed me to be able to, when I get on the plane today, I've got a million things that I haven't touched the last 3-4 days.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I'm with her. So it'll just wait.
You like how you just blamed it on me?
No.
Just kidding. No, I respect that.
I'll be a different person.
No, but it makes sense. No, absolutely. And plus, you're 100% focused on that.
There you go. So I will be a different person
that.
when I leave here than I was with you. Okay, there'll be some catch up that's going to happen, and there's going to be whatever. But I've learned that I've gone from that place of you need to be rejected all the time. You need to now. The focus of my life is leverage.
Yeah.
Leverage so that I have time with you. I have time with my kids. I have time, but I'm still being able to feed that hunger side of me. Because the drive will never leave me. Mm-hmm. So how do I feed that? But what do I learn? What wisdom have I learned to be able to feed that drive while also understanding that a car has to stop at a gas station?
Absolutely.
And it doesn't mean you're slowing down. Right back to our original point.
Yeah.
When you pull over at a gas station and you're driving somewhere and someone else is driving there too and they keep going, when a NASCAR is on a track, and they're going around and someone is in first place, but they stop to get their wheels changed if they don't do that, they're going to get eliminated.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually just talked to a dear friend, or you talked to a dear friend about, balance, like life balance, just yesterday.
Yeah, which I don't believe in.
And yeah, you did say there's no such
Doesn't
thing
exist.
as balance. But as far as like fueling, those are the vacations you take.
Every quarter, you got to have something to look forward to. One of the rules for 2023.
You have one coming up, right?
Yep.
And then it's like, and we all know right now it's such a busy season coming up into the spring season.
Yeah.
That it's really important to start fueling.
Well, look what's going to happen here, right? So, let's be honest. So, we're going to be in Mexico, right? And I'm going to come back from Mexico and literally drop my kids, get on a plane and head out, and I'm going to go to
within 24 hours
conference where we'll be speaking to 10 to 15,000 people. Like boom, boom, next, and to leave for that vacation, I'm doing a keynote in the morning, rushing to the airport, flying to another airport where some friends of mine will be bringing my kids and meeting me at the airport, where I'll have 2 separate bags packed. One that was for the event I just rushed and did, whatever, and then one that's now, hey, we're on vacation now, and I'll be showing up in my what do you call it, stage clothes. They're ready for vacation, maybe change in the bathroom. So I'm all about the hustle, but I'm all about what you all call balance. It's not a thing. I mean, if you look at the definition of balance, it doesn't make sense. That's not what balance is. But I'm all about understanding that I've got to feed that hunger, but I've also got to be present, and I've got to do things that recharge me and that I love and that serve a greater purpose. Because what is the point of your work?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what's the point? Because there's always going to be another thing. There's always going to be another person asking for your time. There's always going to be another dollar to be made. There's always going to be, but you hustle for it. Why?
Yeah, absolutely.
For what? You always have to be willing to ask the question, for what?
Yeah.
And so that means when I just shut down a week and a half in my April schedule, a very, very busy time frame, where I would get a lot of money per speaking event for day after day after day, but I shut it down because my kid has a soccer tournament out in Orlando, and then we're going to extend our stay and go to the parks because my younger son loves Star Wars and Disney, and we're going to go do that. That means those paychecks I would have gotten day after day just aren't worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see what I mean? And by the way, there's another time in my life where I would have taken them. I would have been like, sorry, guys, I got to go make these checks. What do you want me to turn down this much money? And the kids would have been like, no, you got to go get that money. I'm not even asking them now.
Yeah.
It's just, it's got to be for something.
Super busy season, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, crazy
Between
season.
Kids and conventions, and then you have your mastermind coming up.
I forgot.
When
Yeah,
is
we
that?
got
Is that in April also?
Mastermind is right after.
Or is it May?
I'll be there for something else. That's in April. Was that April?
I mean, and that in itself is
second and
completely
third, I
different.
think.
That's completely different. Although you do have who does that with you?
Rick Fuller, our team leader coach.
Okay.
He runs our team
Rick.
leader coaching. Be me and him in a suite in Vegas, April 2nd and 3rd. I guess we'll tell our audience now because I haven't promoted this like
you
I
haven't.
should.
Okay, there
I
you
haven't.
go.
We've already
No.
got it just about booked out. But
I mean, that in itself, and that's a different level of like.
let's teach them how to do what I'm doing right now. So it's April
Yes.
2nd and 3rd. We do a big suite in Vegas. People pay $5,000 a pop.
It's not. Yeah, it's
They
not a
sit in a
keynote
suite
or
all day
anything like
long
that.
in
Yeah.
their jeans and t-shirt
Nope.
with me and Rick. We open computers up and we say, here's how you actually run a business.
Yeah.
And we look everything from infrastructure to your systems, to your lead strategy, to your next plan, to all the stages of growth, to, and that's
Yeah.
like my favorite thing we do because it's so practical.
I hear people that come from there. I mean, Rick and you actually talk a lot about this. But you really look forward to that event.
I do because that's
And it's
life changing for
very
people.
exclusive. It's a small group.
$5,000. But first off, it's $5,000 a pop.
Yeah.
So anybody who
There
gets
is
in
an
there,
investment. Yeah. in
there's an
that.
old line, right? People who don't pay attention. And the more you pay, the more you'll pay attention.
Yeah.
So look, I'm all for throw out a thing in an area. You're going to go in and do a quick event in a ballroom, free tickets, BOGO, buy one, get one, the whole thing. But a lot of them don't show up, and the ones who do don't do anything you talk about. You're a dancing monkey in front of them. When people pay $5,000 a pop, and they're in that room, they're paying attention. They're like, what's my next? Almost all of our masterminds from the past, and we've done a lot, we have groups for every one of them. They all still talk to each other on a regular basis.
nice.
They're still posting in the group. I'm now on to the next level. What did you find when you were doing this? What do I avoid? Does somebody have a copy of a description
Do you
for
have
that?
Do you have a lot of repeats out of curiosity or no?
It'll be over half the room.
Really?
They just keep coming back.
So it's always different content.
Yeah, well,
Then.
there's some similars that are just are what they are.
Yeah.
There's always new stuff, and
Okay.
wherever you're coming from within your business, you hear things different.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're at a certain level of your business, you hear everything from that level. You're like,
Yeah,
how do I get to
correct.
that level?
That's true.
And then when you're at a
That
different
is
level,
true.
you hear the same thing, and you're like, oh, wait a
Yes.
second, now that applies here. And so they keep coming back because honestly, I don't know how many more of these I'm going to do at $5,000 a pop because it's too cheap. It's how many times have I said to you, it's not spend, it's investment,
Yeah.
right? So it's such a corny thing people do in real estate, but it's true. It's like $5,000. That's not even a transaction in most areas. Like if you just did one transaction, and but it's also true. When you teach people how to build businesses, that they go and double and triple and quadruple their business, but they do it with less time because you're teaching them to do essentially what I did as an agent and now what I do now, which is to grow the business, but to leverage. To leverage so you can
Yeah.
focus on other things and you can do other things. $5,000 is ridiculous. People pay $5,000 to go to Disney World, and all they do is come back with a divorce paper. It's because that's just
an extra few pounds.
because that is not good for anyone. Like it's
No.
it's stressful.
Oh,
So yeah, we'll have that coming up. That's going to be April 2nd and 3rd, I think. It's on our site, jaredjamestoday.com/mastermind. I don't know how many spots are left or not. I'll be honest, I haven't even checked with my team. I just know I've been seeing people sign up.
Yeah.
Which means my team is promoting it.
That's exciting.
Leverage.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah.
Well,
Anything else we want to talk about? Or
I don't know. I mean, you have to hit the airport soon.
We do. I do gotta.
Yeah,
I feel
so
like every time you and I talk, it's like I'm rushing off to last time it was to go get my kids from school.
That's a great reason.
It was, and you went
Yeah.
with me this time.
I mean, I could take my time and we can miss your flight.
I would do that in a
You know,
second.
yeah.
I would. Don't mess with me.
No, I was telling you, like, you're flying in. So Fresno, there's never direct flights really anywhere that Jared needs to
the worst
get.
part
At
about
least, but he's flying.
I love you to death, but
you're
it is the
flying
worst
into
part about here.
Dallas.
Yeah.
And so you might want to get there a little sooner than
Because
later.
everybody's
just
coming
because
from the Cowboy
but the
game?
joke is, the Niners and Dallas.
And they're
game.
angry if they're coming back from
And
that
they're
game.
angry.
Yeah, because that
so
was.
let's just hope you get to Dallas and there's no delays.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. But
So,
I'm on my way to Indiana and then some other places. But
Oh, fun.
yeah. I'm sure we'll talk a couple times.
Just a few.
Just a few.
Just a few. No, but I don't want to hold you up anymore. So
I love having you on here, guys. If you enjoy this, as I always say, give it a 5-star, give it a whatever, wherever you're watching this on, thumbs up, comment. If you like having Linda on here, let us know. I kind of like the dynamic she adds with me when we're able to do it.
It's fun.
Yeah, you know me in a little different way than I think anybody else I can do these with. Which is cool. So I hope this was helpful, guys. I almost feel like we did 2 different podcasts. Like we talked about your situation.
Like a little bit of personal, and then I kind of pivot into
I might make this
NAR and like.
I might make this 2. I'm not sure. But we did 2 different podcasts, and honestly, I thought those were really like. I love going through your situation, and
I mean, it's as raw as it could get. It's what I'm going through.
Well, we did talk about that because we opened a GoFundMe account, and no, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding, everybody.
GoFundMe.com/Linda Yacoub needs help.
She's like, no, he's not kidding.
Let's get that going.
Let's go. Anyway, guys, we love you. Thank you for listening. For those of you that are watching, we literally are just using a camera on a Zoom because we're in a different place. We don't have the whole professional setup here, but hopefully everything came out well here. Make sure you can they follow you?
Yeah, I mean,
where do they follow you? Just go to my Instagram, look on one of the photos she's tagged.
I was like, what is my handle?
I was gonna say she doesn't really have like a connect with Linda
Linda
or something.
Yacoub, then everyone's like, how do you spell Yacoub?
Exactly. That's why I jumped in. Yeah. So you guys know connectwithjared.com. Connect on all the platforms. You'll see on there she's tagged a lot, and you can go follow along with her. She's awesome to follow too. Just because she's got a lot of stuff. She's a boss babe, a mom, a girlfriend,
just figuring out life,
a CEO, just a lot of different things. So
thanks for visiting. And thanks for hanging out in this podcast.
Lizzie, thanks for visiting, like as if I'm just a guest and
mark
won't be
my
back.
Words, people. Let's see when he comes back and sits in this space again.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
Schedule's getting a little nutty, guys, but hopefully it'll happen soon. So guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. As I said, make sure you subscribe, and I hope this was helpful. I'll see you guys soon. Talk soon.
Bye.